Photos have emerged from Hunter Biden's laptop showing his father, President Joe Biden, meeting with his business associates from Mexico. That is to say, Hunter Biden's business associates met together with him and the president. Now, Joe Biden said he had no knowledge of his son's business dealings. This is why the story is big, and it should be on the front page of every newspaper, and it won't be. It shows that Joe Biden lied when he claimed he had no idea what was going on. Of course he was lying. You know, when I set up this podcast and these segments, I try to figure out what is the most pressing and most important news. And there are other stories that I think are more relevant to today. And I also think that for the most part, we know Joe Biden is lying. We know he's corrupt. And so that kind of, I end up doing a segment for 1 p.m. talking about this story because I don't think it's the biggest story we have today. What I mean by this is it's a tough conundrum. The mainstream media won't talk about it. They won't cover it. And those who watch this show, you know, people like us, we know it already. So I'm thinking, am I really informing anybody when I say, oh, hey, guys, more evidence has emerged that Joe Biden was lying about everything? We know. We know the media won't cover it. So at the very least, here's a video you can share with people and show them the photograph. What is the excuse here? That it's all a conspiracy? That someone's secretly photoshopping images? When you go to the Wikipedia page for Biden-Ukraine conspiracy theory, they mention the laptop and the hard drive. They say a New York Post article published in October 2020 with the involvement of Trump's personal attorney Giuliani and former strategist Bannon brought renewed attention to the allegations during the presidential election campaign. Its veracity was strongly questioned and rejected by most mainstream media outlets, analysts, and intelligence officials. And the story was suppressed by Twitter, and it was shut down by Facebook. And these scumbags, this scumbag from Facebook is like, we've reviewed the story and we're scared that it's disinformation, so we're suppressing it. No joke, no lie. They straight up said they were going to do this. Journalism is dead. Oh, there's a twitching corpse that every so often pops out with something like this, and we can see behind the curtain. But you take a look at what happened the other day in New York City. Eric Adams, he's a former cop. He's pro-cop. Oh, the left don't like that. Regular people seem to actually like the police, and it seems like he's going to win. He noticed something after the election results came in. There seemed to have been around 100,000 more votes than there were on the election night. And so he simply said, something seems to not make sense with this. And the liberals and leftist elitists immediately came out and said, oh, what a Trumpian thing to do. He's going to lose, and he knows it because ranked choice voting is eating away at his lead. And now he's going to act like, oh, there's a discrepancy. And then the New York Board of Elections came out and said, we accidentally included 135,000 ballots. And yeah. What if Eric Adams didn't notice this? And what if something like that's happened before and someone didn't notice and we have no idea? There are no journalistic enterprises in this country anymore. There's maybe some. Hey, guess what? We intend to change that. Timcast.com. We've hired another writer. We're going to be hiring more. We got an editor coming in. We got some production people coming in. We just did a soft signing for a new documentary on technology and other stuff like that. I'm not going to sit here and just take this. Now, my respect to the New York Post for actually continuing the reporting on this. We have a big tech apparatus that is suppressing this information. They restrict me from being able to communicate on these platforms. So what I did? I made my own. Yeah, they say, go make your own YouTube. Okay, we made timcast.com, and we're going to keep pushing. But here's what you do with this video. You can share this article, share this photo with people who tell you Joe Biden had nothing to do with it, and Wikipedia says it's one big conspiracy theory. Okay, let me be fair. Mexican business partners are not Ukrainian business partners. But Joe Biden has zero credibility when he's like, come on, man, I never talked to Hunter Biden about any of this stuff. I don't know what he's doing. Liar. Of course he's a liar, though. Come on. It's a politician. You find me a politician who doesn't lie, and I will find you a unicorn. The New York Post reports. At some point, the Biden White House will have to confront evidence of the president's involvement in his son Hunter's shady overseas business dealings. Joe Biden insists he never knew a thing about Hunter's lucrative deals in countries where he wielded influence as vice president. But evidence abounds on Hunter's abandoned laptop of Joe's involvement. For instance, Joe invited Hunter's foreign associates to breakfast meetings at his vice presidential residence and to his office in the White House, the laptop shows. He took his son on Air Force Two to countries where Hunter was doing deals, and on at least one occasion included one of Hunter's business partners on the trip. Among more than 100 events scheduled in Hunter's diary at the VP's residence at the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., there are meetings which appear to overlap with Hunter's business interests. Quote, breakfast with dad, Nav Obs. In one such meeting recorded for 8:30 a.m. on November 19th, 2015, 5 photographs, dates stamped on that day and taken at 10:03 a.m. and 10:04 a.m., appear on the laptop showing Joe posing with 4 of Hunter's business associates, including Mexican billionaires Carlos Slim and Miguel Alemán Velasco. One photo also features Velasco's son, Miguel Alemán Magnani, the founder of budget airline Interjet, at whose Acapulco mansion Hunter and wife Kathleen had stayed in that March. Jeff Cooper, a longtime Biden family benefactor who ran one of the largest asbestos litigation firms in the country, Illinois-based Simmons Cooper, also appears along with Hunter. Matt Taibbi, talk about great work, great journalist. When the mainstream media came out and said all the Hunter Biden news was fake and Twitter and everybody was suppressing it, they said there's no conspiracy. Hunter Biden's role at Burisma in Ukraine was completely normal. Matt Taibbi said there's at least a dozen open investigations by the prosecutor. We have Joe Biden on video saying, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you don't get the money. Quid pro quo. And now Joe Biden sitting in the White House, a scumbag, protected by the media who suppressed news so that the American people didn't know what to do, who to vote for, what was going on. Now, to a certain degree, I do hold the American people responsible. That's right. Personal responsibility plays a role. Now, I'm a bit salty about it because I think Joe Biden's miserable. Gas prices hit a 7-year high. Biden's shutting down oil pipelines while waiving sanctions on Russia for Nord Stream 2 to create more pipelines. He has destroyed U.S. energy independence. He is pumping out money, printing like crazy, borrowing like crazy. Trump ain't perfect. But this is the game. This is the shadow campaign. Remember the Time magazine article? We can see all the news in the world. I can talk about as much as I can. YouTube seems to be fine with these, I suppose. We know they play dirty games. It's politics. But they suppressed the news so that we couldn't know about it. And now it is 6 or so months, six and a half, maybe months in. And we see this. It's remarkable to me. If we had this laptop, back almost a year ago, then how come these photos didn't come out sooner? I suppose because regular, the journalists we know and we're supposed to know and trust weren't doing the legwork. And it was just the New York Post and a few other right-wing outlets that were actually looking through this. Probably a lot to go through. They say the photos were taken in the living room of the VP's residence, which was painted at the time in a daffodil yellow chosen by Jill Biden and featured distinctive paintings by Vermont artist Wolf Kahn on loan from Addison Ripley Fine Art in Georgetown, which are visible on the wall behind the men. 2 floral chairs and a pink stone silk rug in the photos match the decor of the living room at the time. In the background of one photo, a piano and family photographs can be seen in front of a baby window. Slim was in town that day, as Politico noted the next day. Spotted Carlos Slim in the lobby yesterday morning of the Georgetown Four Seasons. Cooper and Hunter had been working on energy deals in Mexico and elsewhere in Latin America. A 2013 email from Cooper demonstrates their high expectations of the association with the Aleman dynasty. Miguel wants us to go to Mexico City. He wrote to Hunter on February 26. This is setting up to be flippin' gigantic, brother. How did they get these deals? How does a crackhead, yes, a crackhead like Hunter Biden, get a deal like this? Could it be that he promises they can meet the vice president and get favorable terms in negotiations? Could it be that he's placed on the board of Burisma because of his access to his father, who came in and said, fire the prosecutors, effectively shutting down the prosecution. The investigation and the open cases into Burisma. It feels like we're beating a dead horse. And, I was staring at this story, I started recording a little bit later than I normally do because it's one of the most pessimistic things. But I'll tell you this. I am optimistic. I am absolutely optimistic because the more I see things like this going on, the more we are learning that their dirty games are breaking apart. Here's another photograph. Vice President Biden meets with Mexican billionaires Carlos Slim and Miguel Alaman Velasco. They go on to say, at the time, President Enrique Peña Nieto was reforming Mexico's energy market to allow private capital investment in state-owned oil and gas monopoly Petróleos Mexicanos, Pemex. Cooper's association with the Bidens began in 2005 when he started filing multi-million-dollar lawsuits in Delaware in association with Joe's late son, Beau Biden's firm, Bifferado, Gentilati, and Biden. He would make a lot of money from the $30 billion asbestos compensation business, helped by Joe as leader of the powerful Judiciary Committee blocking asbestos litigation reform when a bill reached the Senate floor, as Paul Sperry from Real Clear Investigations has reported. When Joe became vice president, Cooper put Hunter on the board of his venture capital firm, Eudora Global, and gave him shares in the business, which netted Hunter around $80,000 a year. Documents on the laptop show. In 2015, Hunter also received a one-time payment of $300,000 from Eudora. Simmons Cooper also put up $1 million in investment capital for Hunter and his uncle Jim Biden's abortive attempt to run a hedge fund in 2009. When the venture ended, the Bidens returned the money. Politico has an article called Biden Inc. And they mentioned that, coincidentally, Joe Biden's brother Jim got amazing contracts in Iraq as soon as his brother took charge of what was happening in Iraq. Is that a coincidence? I'm sorry, you'd have to be willfully daft. And a lot of people are. They go on to say, Cooper joined the VP's entourage on Air Force Two to Mexico in 2016, when he and Hunter were trying to negotiate an ill-fated petroleum deal with Alaman Magnani. At 6 p.m. on February 24th, 2016, about an hour after wheels up from Joint Base Andrews on the 5-hour flight to Mexico City, Hunter wrote a plaintive email to Alaman Magnani using Air Force Two's secure high-speed satellite communications channel. He blind copied Cooper. Quote, "We are arriving late night on Air Force Two to Mexico City. I'm attending meeting with President Peña Nieto and Dad. Would love to see you, but you never respond. I'm really upset by it. I want you at the plane when the VP lands with your mom and dad, and you completely ignore me." Joe Biden went beyond lying. On more than one occasion now, we know that he was flying his son on government property for these deals. Quote, "I've looked at what your family has done and want to follow in that tradition. We have been talking about business deals for 7 years, and I really appreciate you letting me stay at your resort villa. But I have brought every single person you have ever asked me to bring to the effing White House and the vice president's house and the inauguration, and then you go completely silent. Look at this in your face. You make me feel like I've done something to offend you, Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden had been useful to Alaman Magnani, apart from the 3 tickets to the Obama-Biden inauguration ball in 2013 and meetings with his dad. Crucially, for a Mexican airline owner wanting to spread his wings, Hunter also set up 2 meetings for Alaman Magnani with Secretary of Transportation Anthony Foxx on March 17th, 2014 and January 23rd, 2015, and a separate meeting with the administrator of the FAA, emails on a laptop show. When Cooper asked if he would go to the first Fox meeting, Hunter replied, "No, but I am calling Secretary Foxx to let him know we are buddies." Before the second meeting, Hunter emailed Fox's director of scheduling in advance, Laura DeCastro. "Miguel Alaman, Interjet chairman, is a close family friend, but I have no business with the company." Burisma, the corrupt Ukrainian energy company that was paying Hunter $83,333 to sit on its board, that's per month, also got involved in his Mexican ventures. In a 2014 email, Cooper wrote to Hunter, "I met with Miguel Alaman Magnani last night. He has set up meetings with Secretary of Energy and the CEO of Pemex for January 12th. Is there any chance that anyone from Burisma could attend?" Hunter later asked Alaman Magnani to intervene with the Mexican government to smooth out a visa problem for Burisma owner Nikolai Zlochevsky. Alaman Magnani does not appear to have assisted. Now we see the Burisma connection. It's all a conspiracy theory. The New York Post can report it, and Wikipedia just says, well, everybody else says it's not true. This is crime. I mean, this is like crime family stuff. As a result, Zlochevsky could not fly to Mexico to finalize a deal Cooper had brokered with Pemex, thus jeopardizing one of Hunter's most profitable side hustles. Going to have to do some serious backpedaling with Burisma, Hunter emailed Cooper on February 16, 2015. Most likely jeopardizes my board position. I am shocked Miguel didn't come through at crunch time, replied Cooper. They clearly value the relationship with your family, and they know they could sustain serious damage here by making enemies with you. Maybe a call from you or your dad to his dad? Maybe that shakes things loose. What do you think? It is there. So what do we do when you've got someone as crooked and corrupt as Biden who is sitting as president? I don't know. Personally, I don't know. Will the Democrats move for impeachment? Of course they won't. Republicans move for impeachment? Absolutely not. Now, I mentioned the Democrats because you'd think the Democrats, with all their virtue signaling, would come out and oppose things like this. No, they lie and say it doesn't exist. And the Republicans are spineless. They won't actually do anything. They will actually just attack their own. Right now, a bunch of Democrats are demanding McCarthy go after Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you know what? I would not be surprised if they do it. Because they've done it before. They say no reply can be found on the laptop. But Hunter knows that his arrival with his dad on Air Force Two the following year will demonstrate his clout to prospective Mexican business partners. Nothing shakes things loose abroad quite so profitably as jetting in on the White House bird. They say Miranda Devine's book, Laptop from Hell, Hunter Biden, Big Tech, and the Dirty Secrets of the President Tried to Hide, is out in September. I find it absolutely incredible that we have hard evidence, photographs, and the New York Post is fearless, willing to publish it, tell people what's going on. But take a look at Ground.News' bias tracker. This story, which came out last night around 8:37 p.m., has only been covered by right-wing outlets. The Sun, what is this? I believe it's Western Journal. Let's pull up full coverage, actually. And therein lies the big problem. We've got the Western Journal, World News Daily, the U.S. Sun, and the New York Post. Originally appearing in the New York Post, it seems that the left will never talk about this. And so this is what you need to do. Perhaps my video is too emotive. Naturally, I'm frustrated and angered by all of this. I'll tell you, my through line with everything is usually just complaints about the media. Joe Biden would not get away with any of this stuff were it not for a lying media apparatus willing to suppress information, obfuscate, manipulate, falsely frame. Ground News says laptop shows Joe Biden attended meetings between Hunter and his Mexican business partners. And they have this photo. You can see Hunter Biden. At some point in his presidency, Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden has to acknowledge how much he's propelled Hunter's many shady foreign business deals. No. Joe Biden says it doesn't happen. Joe Biden says he has no idea. So we sit back. We see stories like this. We know that the New York Times, Washington Post, they don't cover these things. They don't want to make Joe Biden look bad. Sometimes they do. I'll be surprised. But then I wonder why they would do it. We had Twitter, we had Facebook, we have YouTube actively suppressing our ability to understand what's happening with these stories, making sure people don't see them. Recently, I've had people mention to me that the Timcast IRL podcast, they're subscribed, they have hit the notification bell, and they still don't get notifications. Because it's only a matter of time. You think that YouTube and Twitter and these platforms like that I'm talking about this stuff? Right now, I'll tell you this. I got massive viewership last year across all of my channels. It's an election year. This year, things are a little bit lower, not an election year. But there were things last year that YouTube actively hid, and the year before. Certain names you couldn't say during the impeachment. No joke, a name you couldn't say. The video was just deleted without notice. Creepy. Right now, we're not in an election year, though campaigning is basically going to begin. Next year is going to be big for the midterm, so we're going to see a lot more campaigning. 2022, 2023, and 2024 are going to be insane. A couple of years ago, we had many on the right warning about censorship, saying that if you think it's bad now, wait till you see what happens in 2020 when Donald Trump's up for re-election. They were right. I was right. Those who knew this was coming, we saw it coming. What do you think is going to happen next year? Do you think they're going to want me putting out more videos like this, showing the photos and explaining what happened and showing how the media is not covering it? Of course not. What about 2023 when Donald Trump runs again? Do you think they're going to want someone like me saying the media is lying to you? Of course not. We saw them ban Alex Jones and Milo and Paul Joseph Watson. Not from YouTube, mind you. But how long until Ben Shapiro gets nuked from Facebook? The left has been trying actively to get rid of him. Tucker Carlson. They already demonetized my channel, and Facebook is refusing to allow us to monetize our new channel and our shows. They said it's not real content. We didn't make it. Unoriginal. We did make it. They're lying. That's the name of the game. They'll claim it's an error, they'll claim it's a mistake, and they'll keep saying it. We have to stop acting like these leftists don't know this. When the people are like, it was just an error, he got removed by... It's like, how many times? How many times? Dozens? Dozens of errors every single day. Whoopsie. Just a mistake. Right. It happens to the left sometimes. I don't know what to say to add to this story. Like, there you go. Joe Biden's a liar. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.